inspired by kingdom principles that work for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of RBNTV's Relationship Matters. I want you to know that we appreciate you guys so much for viewing all of our shows, for your comments, for your encouragement. Please, we're asking you to keep watching and to subscribe. Call your friends. Tell them Relationship Matters is on. Subscribe. Go to our page and subscribe. And again, thank you so much. And what are we talking about? All things relationship. So we've talked to the therapist. We've talked about relationships beginning with us. We've talked about parent-child relationships. The hard episode, we talked to singles as to what they really want in relationships. We talked to married people. Now we're talking to two persons that have found life after marriage, either separation or divorce. So this is going to be very, very interesting. So I want you guys to pull up the chairs, go grab something cold to drink or something hot to drink, and just tune in. And please don't forget to leave your comment. First of all, I just want to introduce to you my friend, my wedding singer. Love her so much. My go-to girl. Whenever I meet her, she's there. I want you to help me welcome Miss Simmone Bowe.
Hey.
Hey, Simmone.
Hey, girl.
Oh, good to see you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been from August 18th, 2018.
That's right. Pretty much.
We gotta fix that.
Yeah,
we gotta fix that. You gotta come over. Central Environmental. You gotta come over.
Yeah, and things a little hot over here right now, so.
Come this way. Come this. Buddy coming over there. You gonna come this way. But it's so good to see you, and I know this is going to be an awesome conversation because we always have awesome conversations. So I can't wait to dive in. So let me bring in my next guest. He is a friend that I met. We were teaching at the same school, and for some reason we just connected. And we've been friends ever since. And I want us to welcome, the Facebook world knows him. He is a clown. But I love him. I love him dearly. Welcome to our viewing audience, Mr. Matheo Smith. Hey, you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Ray, for having me. Of course, it's so good to be on this show, on this beautiful show.
I thought you was gonna wear one of those hot blazers for me, man.
No, that's tonight. I'm trying to keep it cool. This conversation is a little hot, so at the same time, when I start sweating, I bought my towel. So I start sweating, I can just start wiping my face.
I see what you did there. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for consenting to be here and being a part of this show, Relationship Matters. Now I want to dive right into it because, this is going to be interesting. Now, first of all, give me your status. Simmone, you are divorced, yes?
Yes.
For how long have you been divorced?
I have been divorced now. I've been divorced for 7 years.
7 years.
From the last time.
From the last time. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you leave it there. I push it. I gotta let you bring it out. And
15 years from the first time.
From the first time, 7 from the second. Okay. Theo.
I am separated. I'm separated. I'm separated.
You're separated. Okay. And I am newly married. So this is going to be very interesting because I'm going to sit at your feet and glean. Because what happens, my thing is, we see these perfect couples, or what we deem to be perfect couples. They're in love, they're infatuated, they're in lust, they're all in all those good things. And then we see people throwing around this phrase, relationship goals. Everybody wants, I see these little couples on Facebook, relationship goals, tell I'm very careful.
Yes.
I'm very careful because I too old to be infatuated. And either it is or it's not. But it seemed to me, and it's scary as a newlywed, that people aren't staying together anymore.
Yeah.
It's scary. And you have people now shunning marriage because it just looks like it doesn't work. Now, Theo, I'm going to start with you. You say that you're separated. Now, for me personally, I knew you. I knew your wife. I was at your wedding. And for me, you guys were the perfect couple. I remembered when you falling out in school, when you first started to get sick, and I put up all your business. When all these things first, when they first started to happen, I think one of your episodes was at school. And I remember her rushing to be by your side. And I was thinking, oh, this is so special. Just look at her standing by her man. And then a couple of years later, after the marriage, it's no more. I never asked you about it because that's between, whatever, and I don't judge. But tell me, what is it? What is it that we're just not, it's not happening? And you being a man of the cloth, why can't you keep it together?
Well, I'm so happy, Ray, you asked that question. And you said something the latter part as well, being a man of the cloth. And of course, being a minister, a lot of folks would think you should have it together. You should be this perfect person, I would say, right? So you probably can attest to that as well. They expect you to have this perfect person. During this pandemic, I wrote a book, Single But Am I Available, right? Because a lot of times we get into relationships and we move on to the expectations of that we're ready to be married and whatnot. For me, I'll be honest with you, Ray and Simmone. One of the things is that I think for sure I was living in denial about certain things. I'm trying to keep it together for the church and for the world because everyone has a pitch perfect marriage. He's a relationship therapist. He speaks a relationship all the time and so forth. But it's like I'm solving everybody's relationship, but at home I'm in shambles. And the thing is now, I'll be honest, and a lot of folks can't admit this, I was not taking my own advice. I was dishing out advice daily to people, solving relationships, but not taking my own advice, not taking accountability in my marriage. Because now I'm realizing now that I'm trying to reach the top, but I'm trying to reach the top as a single person. So it was no longer where I'm trying to get to the place as a married man. I'm trying to get to that lifestyle I want, but it was not where I was including my wife in that lifestyle. And so she's now in the back burner. She's now feeling left out. She's now feeling resentment now because we've started this relationship where it's about us. And now my head gets swell a minute. It get a little bigger headed for a minute. And now I'm trying to get to the top. But at the same time, I'm leaving her behind. And so my focus was no longer in my marriage anymore. It was like I'm married, but I'm living a single lifestyle. So it's like I'm looking at everything else, just everyone focusing on Theo and Theo doing this, Theo doing that, and so forth. So, one of the things that you allow popularity and fame to distort your vision, and it takes you off what's the main focus. And so when folks ask me, why you and your wife aren't together, I'd be honest with them. It is not really her. It was me. It was me because the thing is now there was some things that I should handle in my single life because when I got married, it came up. The things that you don't handle at that single life marriage reveals, and it can cause a big issue. And the fact is that, I'm telling folks in relationship communicate, but I was not communicating. I was not giving accountability. I want to go hang with friends. So I was not spending time with my wife. I was not accountable to my wife, and we fell apart.
Okay, this is interesting because I saw this meme the other day, and I thought this was like, it was like if we could spend our time, if the leaders of the church could spend their time raising men to be good husbands and not bishops and apostles, deacons. Do you think that there's a lot of pressure on men in the church? I'm just talking from the church aspect now. I'm coming to you right now, Simmone. That, okay, you're gifted. We see these gifts, we see these talents, we see this purpose on you, we see ministry. Go get married. And go get married so that you don't make us ashamed. Go get married. So it can be said that you haven't sex out of marriage. So go get married. We don't train them. We don't give them time to transition, because marriage is a transition in your head. Trust me. I've been in this 2 years now, and listen to me. The singleness still is just.
I'm telling you.
So do you think, Simmone, you're a trainer. Let's talk to that. Do you think that is necessary? And is that a problem that you faced? Like you weren't prepared for it. You were thrust into it, but nobody prepared you. And a lot of us are coming out of single homes. I mean, non-married homes. Like my parents weren't married. Who are we learning from?
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. I think that is absolutely one of the critical keys as to why marriages are not working. We are not properly prepared for it, especially in the church. Because when you think about it, all we're taught is to not be unequally yoked. That's all we're taught. And that's not even defined properly.
I don't have sex.
Right? Let me throw the seed in your life, Simmone. Come on, say it.
So all we ever say is they need to be saved.
Yep.
Right.
So our baseline is the fact that we all believe in God. Like
so we compatible because we all believe in God. That's unequally yoked.
Isn't that like completely out of whack?
Yep.
Completely out of whack, because how many millions of us believe in God? That doesn't mean that we're all compatible to be married to each other, to mesh a life, two lives together. We're talking about shared values. We're talking about shared vision. We're talking about how we see life, how we see the world. And as Theo mentioned, when you start now, relationships, no matter what form, any type of relationship, but when we talk about a relationship, relationships act as a mirror.
Oh my God.
When you get in a relationship with someone, this could be a friendship, this could be romantic, whatever it is, even a boss-employee relationship. Yes. When you start to interact with that other person, they show you who you are.
Wow. Wow.
And so we're not taught how we need to show up in these relationships, the healing that needs to happen before you decide to enter somebody's life in a covenant relationship.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that are threatening marriages and ruining marriages, a lot of times is childhood trauma.
Yes.
And it doesn't always have to come from single family homes. It can come from two-parent homes as well. Because I came from a two-parent home, but I realized that there were things in their relationship. And I grew up in an era where you just didn't talk about anything. And you tried to hide your problems and your pain from your children. So we're not prepared in so many different ways. And I totally was not prepared. I didn't know what it meant to keep house and all these different things that it's expected of a woman. You know, you would say, well, oh, you know, she got to be able to cook and clean and do all of these things and, you know, handle the household and do all sorts of things. And so if you're not prepared, even that conversation needs to be had, because roles have changed so much today as well. And so
because when you show up as this person that you're talking about, when I show up as that person, like, I'm this person. Now I'm assertive and aggressive and unsubmissive.
You see?
Yeah.
Right.
And so all of these terms that have guided relationships up to this point, we need to clearly define as far as what is submission, what is leadership and headship in the home, and we find that a lot of it is socialization. It is social conditioning and cultural conditioning. Then a lot of it is not based in any type of truth. If you really dig into it, it's really people's opinions, is what they've grown up knowing, and we don't challenge the things that we've grown up knowing, whether it's true or not, if it makes sense for me or not. And so a lot of times, like what you talked about, we end up being pressured into marriage, especially in the church. And I have friends who are in church leadership who would share, confidentially that there's not a connection. And I think in the church, we push, especially men, we push for them to have a ministry partner, not a life partner.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
You're looking for them to have a co-pastor.
You preach and she sings, this is compatible, let's do it.
Listen.
And then he's looking at the girl in the back, makes him laugh. Now I'm caught up in this foolishness here that I don't really want to be part of. And now I feel locked in because now I'm a leader in the church. I know how we get there, but we there.
Listen,
go ahead, Theo. Go ahead.
One of the things as a pastor, they tell you as pastors, it's not good for a pastor to be single. And so the church will push anybody on you. Listen to me. If there's a minister in the church who could preach and you could preach, oh yes, you all are anointed to be together. This is a life partner here. And Simmone, you said it. They find ministry partners for us, but not lifetime partners, because you find that a lot of folks are with someone and not happy. And so we're not trained to be husbands. We're trained to be leaders. As leaders, it is expected as a cliche to have a wife next to you, because all leaders has their wives next to them. So to make it look good, you need to have a woman. And so you find a lot of men who are not down with being single are being rushed into marriage and being rushed into something they aren't prepared for, and that's why they can't sustain it.
It's the truth.
It can't be sustained. And that's, Lord, I could go on with this on and on and on. Okay, so Simmone, give us just a lie. It's because it's crazy. Because so many people are caught in these relationships with people they don't even like.
They don't like them. Worse if they've been, it's some ministerial allegiance or alliance. Mm-hmm. If it's this pastor's daughter and this pastor's son, or the church politics is out there.
Before I got married, I was dating this young lady in the church. I was a pastor and I was a minister then. And the church, my former bishop said to me, listen, you got to get married. And the young lady there was a singer on the praise team. Bear in mind, I just liked her as a friend. We had no attraction whatsoever, but he counseled us and said, you know what, you guys getting married. He told us he was getting married. We never. And so she went along with it and so forth. And me, I'm there confused because now this is my bishop now saying to me, okay, you gotta get married now and whatnot. So okay, she sings on the praise team, she leads the praise and worship and so forth. You're the minister, so you guys compatible. It'd be good for ministry, whatever. And so it was like, whoa, and then I realized I don't want this. This is not what your guys wanted for me. So this is what really happens in the Greenleaf Church.
So Theo talked about him being married with a single mindset, and that's happening a lot. I think for you to curve into marriage mindset, it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. And I think that is when people say marriage is work, I think that's the work. The transition mentally is the work. The work isn't the washing, the cleaning, the cooking. That ain't the work. Mm-mm. The work is you becoming one with this person, not in flesh, but in spirit. Yep. See, a lot of us become one in flesh, but ain't nothing else connecting. So Theo talked about him being single-minded. Simmone, what was your issue?
My issue was not being single enough.
Come on. Come on.
Pastor Miles always used to talk about this in his teachings about singleness and marriage and all of that. And he said that we would have to come into relationships whole as 100%. We talk about this 50%, 50-50, and, we think that it's the 50-50 that make the 100, but it really ought to be the 100 coming together. And so for me, I didn't know who I was. I was young, young, green. And the thing is, after that very long relationship and marriage ended up into something again, I still didn't know myself because I didn't give myself enough time to really understand and dig deep in what happened in that previous situation. Who were you even before that? And who are you becoming, and what do you want out of life? And then that partner that you connect with ought to be aligned in some way. Not to say that we're all doing the same thing, because I don't think that we ought to be doing the same thing necessarily.
Neither do I.
I just believe that we ought to be a support to each other. That's what the help meet is. So you could be doing something completely different from I am, but I should be a support to you in some way in that, whether that is helping you in it or praying you through it, in whatever way that support looks like. And the same with you and me. So when you get into a relationship where, again, we don't understand leadership and headship in a relationship, and so we come in with dominance, we come in with control, and you have to be this way, and you can't do this, and it becomes more of a parent-child relationship rather than a life partnership. So it throws everything off. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know who you are, we are socialized, especially as women, to be the submissive ones, to be the ones we should be the ones to conform to whatever the man wants. And when I came out of my first marriage, I didn't know myself. I so connected with the movie Runaway Bride at the point where she ran away for the last time, and she literally had to figure out, what type of eggs do I like? Easy, scrambled, fried, what? Because that's how I lived my life. Whatever he wanted to eat, whatever he wanted to do, my whole life morphed. And that is when I imploded. I, as an individual person, imploded, because I recognized that I had a purpose for me as an individual, as a woman, as a wife. I had my own purpose, my reason for existing. And now in this marriage, I'm not allowed to express that or to do that. So there began my struggle. And like I would tell people, my choice was not another man. My choice wasn't to be footloose and fancy free and single. My choice was to live a purposeful life. That was my choice. And so that's why I would say I was not single enough. I did not live with myself enough. I did not have enough self-reflection to understand who I was, where I was going. I didn't do the work to take the shackles off my mind about myself, about relationships and marriage and what all of that meant.
So we're talking about all of this preparing and all of this. And I know that some people will be really, really deep. You know, we get deep. You know, go to the Word of God. Yes. And that's where we go, and we go to God and whatever. But what else can we do? And Simmone can go first and Theo can go second. What else can we do as single people to prepare? And even now that we're in this marriage, what can we do to safeguard? I remember this movie that TD Jakes had, Fireproof. How to fireproof this thing.
I love it.
How to fireproof this thing. Because listen, especially, it's not a good look for the church. It's not and I go back there. And I think, and the thing about it is, it seems like the marriages outside of the church, like we talked to, are lasting longer than the ones inside. So something has to be fundamentally wrong. What is going on outside that's not happening inside? We talked about the training and the talking. What can persons do, married and single? I love what you said, Simmone. Be single long enough. I remember Pastor Ambassador Devin's wife, Yolanda Rowe, came to me and she said, Rayette, be so good at being single that when you marry, people miss it. And that hit me. She said, be so good being single that when you get married, people just totally thrown off. Like, what this girl gonna get married for? She was doing single so well. That kind of thing. But what can we do to prepare? What can we do to fireproof our relationships?
I think that it's very important for us to do the inner work. And I'm so glad that you said, people would say, well, go and read scriptures and all this sort of thing. And trust me, don't get me wrong now. I believe in scripture. I believe in prayer and all of these spiritual principles. But there are some things that we have to do. The Bible tells you faith without works is dead. There were things that we had to do in the earth realm that God just did not get involved in. Right? And so there are things in the earth realm that God does not get involved in. He's not going to step down and do certain things. And I used to pray those types of prayers. I used to be like, God, kill him. You don't understand? He answering prayers like that. He answering prayers like that. So he's like, sis, get it together. Okay? So I think that we have to be prepared to do the inner work on ourselves. A lot of times we go into relationships and we talk a good game about unconditional love, but we don't love unconditionally. We love with condition. We love going into it wanting to change the other person.
Yes.
We go in loving and talking about, oh, well, if I love him enough, he'll be different. No. So you have to do the work on yourself, and it is not about you to go and try fix somebody else and make them into the person that you want them to be. You get with them, you want to change how they dress, you want to change how they talk, you don't love them. Wow. You have an ideal that you're trying to shape that person into. So off the top, you're wrong. Leave them alone. Okay? Work on yourself.
Well, if you can't say hallelujah, then you say ouch.
Yeah. Amen.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Why I believe working on yourself is so important. And I talked about, the childhood trauma and the other pains and experiences that life packs on us, that we have to unpack and understand how we show up in these situations. What have I contributed by either my actions or my inactions, by my belief system? And so we have to dig into our pain. And a lot of people don't want to go there because it is painful. It hurts. Yeah. It hurts to have to face my childhood and the things that I may have experienced and the things that made me feel shame or bad about myself or the abuses that I may have gone through, or just the lack or the poverty that I may have experienced. That all of those things shape us, when we all have to pinch and save and mommy say, well, I just don't have it. All of those things now, when you start coming into a relationship, then you start skinching too. Wow. And when the gentleman spends something on you, you're like, no, we could use that money for, and you shut him right down where he's trying to show love and care, and you can't even receive it. How many of people struggle sexually in their marriages because they have not dealt with the sexual traumas that they had experienced, whether that's molestation, rape, other bad sexual experiences, maybe a domineering partner who was rough and not caring about your pleasure. And so you get in with somebody else who's completely different, but you can't function differently.
Hey guys, listen, we are out of time, but we are not out of content. Thank you so much, Theo. Thank you so much, Simmone, for a provocative and very informative segment. Listen, you guys got to come back for part 2. Remember, we're changing lives one relationship at a time. I'm Rayette Spence for RBNTV Network. See you next time.
You're watching RBNTV. We are networking, promoting, we're scoring points for you, proclaiming, declaring, here to encourage you. No matter the problem, we will enlighten you. We hear you, please listen, there is a point of view. You're watching RBNTV. We're transforming lives, empowering lives, inspiring.